picture this. It is 1976, and we are in Los Angeles, California. The sun is shining, the palm trees are perfect, and the music industry is making millions. But inside a psychiatric hospital, away from the bright lights, a man is sitting on the floor. He has almost no teeth left. He weighs almost nothing. He has no money, no pen, and no recording contract. This man is James Osterberg, better known to the world as Iggy Pop, the wild man of rock music, the godfather of punk, the guy who used to cut himself on stage with broken glass and dive headfirst into the crowd. Now, he is just a broken guy trying to get his mind right. He checked himself in because he knew if he stayed on the streets of LA, the drugs would kill him before the end of the year. Hardly anyone comes to visit him. His old friends are gone. The music business have moved on. But one day, a man walks into the hospital. He's thin, pale, and dressed in a sharp, expensive suit. He looks like an alien who just landed on Earth. It is David Bowie, the biggest pop star on the planet. Bowie does not bring flowers, he brings a plan. He looks at his friend and says, "We have to get out of here." This is not just a story about making a record. This is a story about a rescue mission. It is about how a pop star saved a dying punk, and how together in a cold, divided city, they accidentally created the future of music. This is the story of Iggy Pop's 1977 debut solo album, The Idiot, in the beginning of the legendary Berlin era. To understand why this rescue was necessary, you have to understand the nightmare they were running from. By the mid-1970s, Los Angeles had become a dark place for both of them. The dream of the 1960s was completely dead. The world was dealing with an oil crisis, money problems, and the heavy shadow of the Cold War. In the music world, the wild, free energy of the past had turned into the bad trip. Los Angeles was covered in a snowstorm of cocaine. David Bowie was living in a huge house in LA, making lots of money, but he was losing his mind. He was surviving on milk, red peppers, and endless amounts of drugs. He was staying awake for days, convinced that witches were trying to steal his hair. He knew he was dying, just as surely as Iggy was. They both needed a total reset. They needed to escape the sun, the fans, the drug dealers, and the noise of America. They needed a place where no one cared about rock stars. So, they packed their bags and ran to Europe. They did not go straight to Berlin. They started in France, at a famous recording studio in an old castle called the Chateau de Herveville. This is where the real work of saving Iggy Pop began. And Bowie took total control. Here's the thing you need to know about The Idiot. It is an Iggy Pop album, but David Bowie was the director. Bowie wrote the music, played almost all the instruments, and told Iggy exactly what to do. Before this, Iggy Pop's music with his band, The Stooges, was fire. It was loud, angry guitars, screaming, and pure animal energy. It sounded like a car crash in Detroit, but Bowie did not want fire. Bowie wanted ice. Bowie was fascinated by new electronic music coming out of Germany, bands like Kraftwerk. He wanted to mix the cold, perfect sounds of machines with the dark, heavy feeling of a man who has lost everything. He basically used Iggy as a test subject for his own wild ideas. Think about it. You take the wildest singer in the world, you take away his loud guitars, and you replace them with a cheap drum machine. During the sessions, they wrote a song called Nightclubbing. Bowie found an old Roland drum machine and programmed a slow, heavy, repeating beat. It does not sound human. It sounds like a factory machine slowly moving back and forth. Over this cold beat, Bowie told Iggy to sing about walking through the city at night, feeling like a ghost. Iggy stepped up to the microphone and sang in a deep, dark voice, like a movie villain. He did not scream, he did not shout. He sounded completely in control, but completely dead inside. It was a terrifying, beautiful sound. It was the sound of a man who has seen hell and is just calmly walking back out of it. To finish the album, and to truly escape their past, they knew France was not enough. They needed the ultimate hiding place. They moved to West Berlin. Imagine West Berlin in 1976. It was a city cut in half by a massive concrete wall. On one side, the West. On the other, the Soviet East. There were soldiers with guns, dogs, and guard towers everywhere. The city was full of bullet holes from World War II. It was grey, cheap, and filled with tension. It was an island surrounded by the enemy. For Bowie and Iggy, it was perfect. They rented a cheap, dark apartment at Hausstrasse 155. There were no bright lights here, no pools, no crazy parties. The biggest rock star in the world were living like quiet omen. They forced themselves into a straight, normal routine. They woke up early. Bowie painted pictures. They walked down the street to buy cheap Turkish food. They went to museums to look at old German art. They took the train. People on the streets of Berlin did not care who they were. To the locals, they were just two strange, quiet guys speaking English. This boring, normal life is what saved them. Bowie was acting like a big brother to Iggy. He made sure Iggy woke up on time. He made sure Iggy ate real food. He pushed him into the studio every day. Bowie gave Iggy something he never had before: discipline. In the studio, the music they were making for the Idiots sounded exactly like the city outside. Cold, grey, industrial. Sometimes beautiful, but always dangerous. Songs like China Girl were born here. A song that sounds like a dark, twisted love story hiding in the shadows of a broken city. Iggy wrote the words, pulling from his own messed up life, his regrets, and his dark humor. He called the album The Idiot after a novel by the Russian writer Dostoevsky. The main character in the book is a man who is so honest and simple that everyone else thinks he's stupid. Iggy felt the same way. He felt like the music world looked at him as a wild animal, an idiot. This album was his way of saying, I am smarter than all of you. When The Idiot was finally released in March 1977, the music world did not know what to do with it. Fans of Iggy Pop expected fast, angry punk rock. Instead, they got slow, heavy, dark electronic music. It sounded like it was recorded in an underground factory. Some people hated it. They said Bowie had hijacked Iggy's career and turned him into the robot. But other people listened closer and they heard the future. The Idiot became a blueprint for the whole new genre of music called post-punk. Young kids in England who were tired of simple, three-chord punk songs have the cold drum machines and deep vocals of The Idiot and decided that this was the real sound of the modern world. Bands like Joy Division, Depeche Mode, and 9 Inch Nails would not exist without this album. In fact, Ian Curtis, the singer of Joy Division, listened to The Idiot on the record player in his room on the very night he took his own life in 1980. The music was that powerful. It connected with people who felt lost in the dark. And what about Bowie? By saving Iggy, Bowie saved himself. He used the ideas and the sounds they created on The Idiot to make his own legendary Berlin albums, Low, Heroes, and Lodger. He found his own focus again. So what do we take away from this story? We live in a world that tells us we must always be climbing, always winning, always moving forward. We are terrified of falling down. But the story of The Idiot shows us that sometimes you have to hit the absolute bottom to build a solid foundation. Iggy Pop had to lose his band, his money, and almost his mind to finally find his true voice. He had to let go of the loud, angry rock star he used to be to become the artist he was meant to be. And it reminds us of the quiet power of real friendship. In an industry famous for fake smiles and selfish behavior, David Bowie did not just write a check to a hospital. He showed up. He took his friend out of the dark, put him in a room, gave him a microphone and said, "Work." Sometimes being saved does not mean someone gives you a warm hug and tells you everything will be okay. Sometimes being saved means a friend takes you to the coldest city in the world, hands you a heavy burden, and forces you to carry it until you are strong enough to walk on your own. The next time you are walking alone through the city at night, put on night clubbing. Listen to that cold mechanical beat and remember the two broken men who found their way back to life in the shadows of the Berlin Wall.